Let's play our game of buy or sell. Buy or sell. Thursday night football should end after week 10, George. You going to buy or sell this?
It's too short a week. It's not healthy for the players. You'll never be able to convince me otherwise here. The NFL will tell you, oh, stats tell us no, it's not more injuries. And that's all BS. All right. Should it end after week 10? In a perfect world, there probably should be no Thursday night games. Should it end after week 10? Sure, I'll buy this. But it's not going to. There's too much money here. It's never going to end, all right? They're going to have it forever. You're lucky there's not a Friday, Saturday schedule as well, and there's some laws involved there as to why there's not. The NFL is going to have a schedule or for any day they can get here. It's all about money here. And if the players don't want it, by the way, you're going to realize, well, you're going to lose a significant chunk of revenue out of your salary as well here.
Right.
So I'll buy this, but it doesn't matter. It's not going away.
I mean, George just basically said everything that I was going to say, so... What is the reality? The games, so of course I'll buy it. The games are not good. Generally, the home team has a big advantage. If not, the teams are not prepared to play on Thursday night. Yes, there have been some upsets and some underdogs winning. We saw it Thursday night. But the quality of play on Thursday is lower than what it is on the weekends. And there's no end in sight to it because of what George said, the money. That's just all that matters. If Amazon Prime doesn't take it, Netflix will take it. If they don't take it, Apple will take it. If they don't take it, somebody else will take it. I don't know. Hulu, I don't know. You make it up. Someone will. So it is not going away. And, generally speaking, I'm excited every week when the games begin, and then I forget, and then the games usually stink, and I'm like, oh, gosh, this game wasn't good anyway. So George is right. Not going away because of the money.
Fantasy Sports Today. Friday, starting at 3 p.m. Only on SportsGrid.
Indiana and Purdue scoreless, although Indiana is into the red zone right now, second and fourth of Purdue 11, midway through the opening quarter. Again, this is a team that was favored by 28.5 going in. Shouldn't be much of a game, but stranger things have happened in the world of college football, so we will see. Texas A&M and Texas, that game is scoreless, and about 9 minutes to go opening quarter. So again, long ways to go in that one. A&M looking for a 12-0 start with the ball deep in its own territory here. And Boise State did prevail, winning by 1 at Utah State. Brady, to circle back on the NFL conversation, for anyone joining us late, Survivor contests decimated across the country. Circa Survivor, as Brady outlined earlier, certainly is the most notable. You're talking about a $1,000 entry and upwards of, almost $19 million in prize money, as we have had this steady elimination throughout much of the season. Very few real carnage level weeks. That is until this weekend, where it was, even before we get to Sunday, you had to map your season out meticulously going into the year for those that strategize and do so. And a lot of people likely had Baltimore circled, Philadelphia circled. Well, guess what? As touchdown favorites, the both of them, at home no less, they lost. And so 898 entries going into the week, down to 49 leading into Sunday and Monday's games, which is just absolutely incredible. The Eagles represented more than 50% of the pool dead. Ravens, 30% of the pool dead. Chiefs, 78 entries, about almost 9% of the pool dead. There were people, obviously, that went with the Bears. Only about 3% got home. The Lions, that was another 13 entries, 1.5% dead. The Bengals, 1%. Gutsy against that's a multiple entry situation, I'm sure. But those 10 entries moved ahead, as did the Cowboys with 8, the Packers with 3. Somehow, some way, embarrassingly, 2 entries, no picks. I don't even know how that's possible at this stage of the game. Ashamed. You're talking about implied value on your entries at this point of more than $20,000 probably going into the week, and you just didn't get a pick in? That is terrible. That's awful. But anyway, we go down to 49 going into Sunday, Brady.
And I'm not so sure if that was just a couple people missing the deadline. I think when you get to this point in the contest, and yes, Thanksgiving gets confusing because the deadlines change and this and that. So there could have been that element with games happening on Thursday and this having to be a week that you have to pick Thursday games. Normally, you don't have to pick a Thursday game. So it's possible there was confusion there. I heard a rumor that those two entries that were no pick had nobody left. And or then I heard another rumor that all they had left was the underdogs and they just threw up their hands, which I don't necessarily believe. I mean, if you only had the Bears left or you only had the Packers, yeah, sure you would do it. But I don't necessarily believe that this was just some guy slept in and forgot. I think there's more to the story than that. The first week when you see 50 people miss their pick, yeah, there's some guys that slept in and forgot and whatever. But I think at this point in the game, there's something else going on there. But, we talk about the other contests of Survivor. Circa Survivor obviously is the big daddy. Like you said, 18,718 entries to begin, $18.7 million in the prize pool. And now we're down to just 49 people. We had 4,500 less entries in Circa Survivor last year. And we had 54 people that were still alive after the Thanksgiving weekend. We've only got 49 people this year. And like you said, we haven't even been through Sunday yet. So, I mean, the carnage, every single underdog over the last 4 NFL games, 3 on Thursday, 1 today, every single underdog won outright. And so it just absolutely cleaned house in Circa Survivor. Now, Circa Grandissimo, which is a Survivor contest with all the same rules, got to play the holidays, this and that and the other. The only difference was the entry fee, a $100,000 entry fee, and they had 69 entries. So $6.9 million in that prize pool. And I actually know a couple people there. I think for the most part, everybody that was in Circa Grandissimo was a team situation. Very few individuals were putting up the entire $100,000. It was groups of people that, each got in for 10 or 20 or what have you. And a guy that won Circa Sports Million and a friend of mine was on one of these teams. Circa Grandissimo is now over. And the $6.9 million has been split between the final 6 teams that were still alive. 3 teams took the Ravens on Thanksgiving. They lost. 3 teams took the Eagles today. They lost. So everybody's out. So, it's not a bad way to quote unquote win for losing. They all 6 teams get $1 million and change. You lost your game and you still cashed out. Not a bad situation. The other one that's pretty wild is the $5,000 Super Survivor over at the Westgate, where they don't have the holiday rules. You don't have to pick a separate team on Thanksgiving, what have you. Although they had 8 entries left going into this week, into week 13. 4 were on the Ravens, gone. 1 was on the Lions, gone. There are 3 entries remaining. 2 are on the 49ers on Sunday on the road at the Browns, and 1 was on the Cowboys. If the 49ers lose, that 1 entry will be the sole survivor and take home over $500,000. So that one is wild as well. I mean, Thanksgiving and Survivor is not made for the faint of heart.
I'm glad you brought up the Grandissimo contest because I was thinking about you. I wanted to get your opinion on this. So when you're on one of those losing teams going into today, right? You're on the Ravens, 3 sides, they go down, and at this point in time, you're either completely cooked or, as you said, if the Eagles should so happen to lose, you get that 6-way split. Knowing that best case scenario in that situation is they lose and you're coming out with over $1 million for your team, obviously. Are you hedging? Like you almost have to, right? You have to go into today, putting money on the Bears side of things and ultimately hoping to basically, cash in on the pod. And, that way, if the Eagles do win, fine, the whatever, like it didn't go your way, you've lost. But at least you get some money on Philadelphia, not on Chicago. You get some money on the Eagles side of things. And then obviously, if the Eagles should happen to go down, you're guaranteed that split. What would in that situation? What would your strategy be?
Well, my guess is, Adam, a couple of things. First of all, with only 6 entries left in Circa Grandissimo, I'm betting that there was an agreement between those 6 entries where they were going to chop, they're like, hey, whatever happens here on Thanksgiving, we're gonna, there's 7 million basically at stake, right? They're like, okay, whatever happens here, we're gonna split up 3 million, and whoever survives will play the rest of the way for the 4 million, So there was probably some sort of chop agreement going in. Secondly, for those that played the Ravens on Thanksgiving, I'm guessing they did hedge with a bet of some sort on the Cincinnati Bengals. So that was probably already decided. I don't know if there was an additional hedge going into today. That I don't know. But I'm sure there were 2 other versions of finding ways to monetize, one being a chop with the other contestants, and probably also just going oppo in that exact game that you picked. Not sure if there was one for the game that was left remaining on the card for other entries.
Well, I'm definitely going to miss talking Survivor with you in the weeks to come for my own personal gain. Sadly, I went down with the Eagles ship today. Was down
You're
to 11.
Out here next year to sign up for the big boy contest, right?
I need to, right? Well, this
are
one,
we doing a Vegas trip, Kaufman? Come on.
not millions. I know. I'm staying at your place. I would love to get out there. I need to get out there to do that at some point in time. My particular pool would have paid out 10 grand to the winner, which is no amount to sneeze at. I would have been very happy with $10,000. Made it to the final 11 people, and sadly went out with one other today. So it's down to 9 going into the week. Yeah.
Let's play our game of buy or sell. Buy or sell. Thursday night football should end after week 10, George. You going to buy or sell this?
It's too short a week. It's not healthy for the players. You'll never be able to convince me otherwise here. The NFL will tell you, oh, stats tell us no, it's not more injuries. And that's all BS. All right. Should it end after week 10? In a perfect world, there probably should be no Thursday night games. Should it end after week 10? Sure, I'll buy this. But it's not going to. There's too much money here. It's never going to end. All right, they're going to have it forever. You're lucky there's not a Friday, Saturday schedule as well, and there's some laws involved there as to why there's not. The NFL is going to have a schedule or for any day they can get here. It's all about money here. And if the players don't want it, by the way, you're going to realize, well, you're going to lose a significant chunk of revenue out of your salary as well here.
Right.
So I'll buy this, but it doesn't matter. It's not going away.
I mean, George just basically said everything that I was going to say, So what is the reality? The games, so of course I'll buy it. The games are not good. Generally, the home team has a big advantage. If not, the teams are not prepared to play on Thursday night. Yes, there have been some upsets and some underdogs winning. We saw it Thursday night. But the quality of play on Thursday is lower than what it is on the weekends. And there's no end in sight to it because of what George said, the money. That's just all that matters. If Amazon Prime doesn't take it, Netflix will take it. If they don't take it, Apple will take it. If they don't take it, somebody else will take it. I don't know. Hulu, I don't know. You make it up. Someone will. So it is not going away. And, generally speaking, I'm excited every week when the games begin, and then I forget, and then the games usually stink, and I'm like, oh, gosh, this game wasn't good anyway. So George is right. Not going away because of the money.
Fantasy Sports Today. Friday, starting at 3 p.m. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, back here with Brady. We've been doing a fair amount of NFL, obviously plenty of college football as well, to update you on where things stand in those key games going on right now. Texas A&M and Texas, matchup of 2 basically top 15 teams. Texas just outside that. They are scoreless About 5 minutes to go, opening quarter. The line is A&M minus 5.5 now, though, as the Aggies get out to midfield and a little bit beyond. Minus 215 on the money line here at Texas. Indiana now laying 31.5. The pre-flop number 28.5. But the Hoosiers lead this game 7-0. And Purdue with the ball. Indiana territory, but it's 4th and 7. So possibly a field goal on the way here, Brady. Still 6.5 to go, opening quarter.
Yeah. Do you want to lay? In fact, it's 33.5 now. So do you want to, because Purdue, like you say, facing 4th and long from the Indiana 33-yard line. Hey, at least they're into Hoosier territory. Are they going to line up and kick a field goal here? Not sure. But with that line moving to 33.5, it tells me something went wrong for Purdue. A&M and Texas now 2nd and 4 for the Aggies on the Texas 40-yard line. So the Aggies are moving it here. And I kind of agreed with Rich Sermonello. The line movement on this one was really, one of those games where if it's 3, you take it. If it's 2.5, you lay it. It kind of felt like that's where this was going. If you could find a 2.5, you lay it with A&M. If it was 3, you take it with Texas. But I think A&M is kind of the far superior team here. And I know these rivalry games change everything, but they have a very good rush attack. They run the ball more than they throw it, but their explosive plays come out of the passing game. And the defense for Texas, we know it's a solid stop unit, but they are best against the run, not so much against the pass. If A&M can really get the passing attack going, I think they could run away with this. Not run away with it, but cover the spread by, maybe win by 7 to 10 points.
Would you like to invest in game?
No, not the 5.5. No, we'll see where this goes. It's still early. 4 minutes left in the first quarter. Again, 2nd and 4 from the Texas 40. I'd like to see him get a touchdown here. But I'm going to let this marinate a little bit here before I figure out which way I want to go.
We started 54.5 on the total. We've dropped down 10 points, given that there are, no points on the board so far. 11 minutes in. Is there a buy point for you? For instance, if we should dip below 40, are you going over?
No, because I feel like defense is going to dominate this game. I think, we talked about Texas, and that's really probably the strength of their team is their run defense. Now, Arch Manning has been better in recent weeks, but the competition is not exactly Texas A&M level. So I think, it could be a bit of a struggle here for him tonight. We'll see how it goes. And I think Texas, because of the nature of this game, the nature of this rivalry, and the fact that, the best part of their team is their defense, that A&M will have its fair share of struggles as well. So I would lean towards the under in this game from the get-go. If we get a couple points on the board and this gets higher than 54.5, that's when I might look to invest in the under. But I don't really want to go over this game at any point. I wouldn't be surprised if we continue to see that in-game number continue to drop.
Well, 47.5, it's climbed a little bit because A&M is now in the red zone at the Texas 13. It's still the minus 5.5 out there at the moment, but we could see points coming in this one for the first time. In general, outside of college football, whether it's college basketball, NBA, NHL, I know these sports that I'm mentioning are not as near and dear to you as, say, the NFL, obviously PGA when that's in season. But in terms of handicapping the handicappers, as you like to do, anything that you're sweating right now?
Well, I just cashed on Utah State, so that was a good one. We got that one to the barn. Of course, I have some NFL. We can go over that. We can go over the contest picks. But all the action that I have in college is reserved for Saturday. I mentioned when we had Rich Sermonello on, you asked him about Pittsburgh and Miami. I took the Panthers +7. I took South Carolina -2.5. I've seen as high as 3.5 with the Gamecocks favored over their in-state rival Clemson. I really like South Carolina under a field goal. It's been a while, it seems like, but I think they're the better team this year. I mean, it seems like it's been a long time since South Carolina has been a favorite against Clemson. I think it's deserved this year. The other one I took was it goes against my heart here to bet against the Colorado Buffaloes, but I think Kansas State really lays it on Deion Sanders and the Buffaloes. Colorado is sometimes a tough out. Now we know this team this year is a far cry from what they were last year, but they've given some teams some troubles when they're in Boulder. Not so much on the road. We're in Manhattan, Kansas for this one. K-State laying a big number, 17, 16 and a half, 17 and a half, somewhere in that neighborhood. I think they win and cover.
Well, you mentioned the NFL. Let's go there. And we'll be able to make our way through a lot of these games in the hour and a half or so that we have left here, obviously, on the show. A team that you've mentioned multiple times now, either with respect to Survivor contests, teams that have been chosen in existing contests where the holiday doesn't come into play. I'm sure potentially popular play in week 13B and circa all of that. Certainly a team that I thought about because you were big on this one. That's the Niners at the Browns. And we're looking at San Francisco, 4.5-point favorite, down from 6 at open. Shedeur Sanders, another start for Cleveland here with Dylan Gabriel sidelined. Of course, these Niners, 2 straight wins, looking for a 9-4 start now. A total, it's very low. 42.5 has come down to 35.5, 36.5, depending on where you do your shopping. Just to give people a trend that earlier, in the Niners' 4 games against top 10 defenses this year, and clearly Cleveland qualifies, they haven't won by more than 4 points in any of those. One of the reasons that I stayed away from this game, it's not that I don't believe San Francisco wins. I do. I just think it's going to be very sweaty, and it's not a great matchup positionally for Christian McCaffrey, for George Kittle. I mean, these are strengths on the defensive side of the ball for Cleveland. So what is it about this game, that you really like?
Well, I don't love San Francisco in this spot. When I crunch all my numbers, I come to San Francisco -3.5. So that would indicate a take on the Cleveland Browns here. And, I get what you're saying about San Francisco. When they play top-notch defenses, they don't win by margin. I don't think they're the powerhouse that we're used to because of injury for the most part. But we can finish this up on the other side. I know we're running out of time.
And we absolutely will. That, folks, is called a tease. Stay with us in-game live on SportsGrid.
Let's play our game of buy or sell. Buy or sell. Thursday night football should end after week 10, George. You're going to buy or sell this?
It's too short a week. It's not healthy for the players. You'll never be able to convince me otherwise here. The NFL will tell you, stats tell us no, it's not more injuries. And that's all BS. All right. Should it end after week 10? In a perfect world, there should be no Thursday night games. Should it end after week 10? Sure, I'll buy this. But it's not going to. There's too much money here. It's never going to end, all right? They're going to have it forever. You're lucky there's not a Friday, Saturday schedule as well, and there's some laws involved there as to why there's not. The NFL is going to have a schedule or for any day they can get here. It's all about money here. And if the players don't want it, by the way, you got to realize, you're going to lose a significant chunk of revenue out of your salary as well here.
Right.
So I'll buy this, but it doesn't matter. It's not going away.
I mean, George just basically said everything that I was going to say, so what is the reality? The games, so of course I'll buy it. The games are not good. Generally, the home team has a big advantage. If not, the teams are not prepared to play on Thursday night. Yes, there have been some upsets and some underdogs winning. We saw it Thursday night. But the quality of play on Thursday is lower than what it is on the weekends. And there's no end in sight to it because of what George said, the money. That's just all that matters. If Amazon Prime doesn't take it, Netflix will take it. If they don't take it, Apple will take it. If they don't take it, somebody else will take it. I don't know. Hulu, I don't know. You make it up. Someone will. So it is not going away. And, generally speaking, I'm excited every week when the games begin, and then I forget, and then the games usually stink, and I'm like, oh, gosh, this game wasn't good anyway. So George is right. Not going away because of the money.
Fantasy Sports Today. Friday, starting at 3 p.m. Only on SportsGrid.
right, we're talking through some NFL, and as we begin the conversation about Sunday games, we're looking at San Francisco. I assume a popular Survivor play, whatever the contest that you are in coming up this weekend, but feels like kind of a scary spot. And I think there are a collection of these, and I'll outline some of them as we go along, Brady. But San Francisco, a team that probably a lot of people still had available at this stage, and availability at this, always the name of the game at this portion of the season as we just get past Thanksgiving here in week 13. That's a big part of it, obviously. But it's not that I think Shedeur Sanders is all that special. And clearly this Niners defense should be able to handle him. And Quinshon Judkins, not a great matchup for him, against a top 10 run defense on the other side as well. It's a big part of why we're seeing such a low total in this game. It's hard to feel good, I guess, investing in either side of this game. I would probably be inclined to take Cleveland with the points if I were going to. But again, it's one of those, like Baltimore, like Philadelphia, like Kansas City for some people. I'm sure the favorite will still find a way. I don't know. Is there more carnage this weekend because San Francisco can't do its job on the road against a very, very difficult defense?
Absolutely right. I mean, it's very possible. There's San Francisco is not a great team. They've done a great job in getting to what I believe is now 8 wins with, a completely bare cupboard. No Nick Bosa, no Fred Warner, for much of the season, no Ricky Pearsall, George Kittle, Brock Purdy, you name it, that once again, decimated by injury. And hats off to Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh. This team has, really exceeded expectations given, what they've been dealt injury-wise. So I wouldn't be surprised by Cleveland showing up here and keeping this game, in a single-digit affair. Maybe they win this one, 13-9 or something like that. Wouldn't surprise me. The weather here is a factor as well. It's that typical, late November, early December Cleveland weather. Now, one thing I will say, Kyle Shanahan's familiar with that. He's coached in Cleveland before, early on in his career, so he knows what to expect here. And I think the 49ers have enough healthy weapons at this point where if the running game is not working, and we know that defense for Cleveland is very good against the run, if it's not working with Christian McCaffrey and Brian Robinson Jr., they can go to Kittle, they can go to Pearsall, they can go to Jennings. I think there's a lot of options and there are a lot of different directions that Kyle Shanahan and this offense can go. We've seen the money come in on Cleveland. Like I say, when I crunch the numbers, I come to Niners -3.5. Earlier in the week, it was 5.5. It came down to 5, and now the live market is dealing 4.5. In the contest here in Las Vegas, in the Circus Sports Million and the Westgate Super Contest, it's 5 and 5.5. So we are in a position where we have to make a move. We're in the final week of the Circus Sports Million quarter where there's $300,000 up for grabs. And we have an outside shot of finding ourselves in the money, but we really have to go against the grain. So with that line value on Cleveland, where the contest you're getting 5.5, but in the live market it's 4.5, we went the other way. And we laid it with San Francisco. So we're hoping to go against the grain there and have the Niners win by 6 or 7 points or more or what have you. And then we kind of leapfrog the field is what our expectation is. But we will see. If I was just, that's contest play. If I was just betting this, I would be much more comfortable taking the 5 or so points with the Cleveland Browns. I think this one will be a tight one.
Yeah, we can, as the show moves along, talk more specifically about a couple of these games, but to lump them together, some popular favorites this weekend that I personally, I no part of me can trust. Like, again, I won't make this all about me, but taking it back to my Survivor experience where I wasn't limited by holiday games and could have looked at the entire board based on availability. It was in some of the conversation you and I have had. Do we take the Jaguars against the Titans on the road? Do you take the Dolphins against the Saints? Again, 2 spots where you would think the favorites win, but it's also part of this thing is what can you stomach? Jacksonville absolutely could lose to Tennessee. Miami absolutely could lose to New Orleans. And I can stomach Philadelphia falling at home in a good spot against Chicago. Putting my trust in teams like that are just bad week to week more often than not, I can't do it.
Well, and they're road favorites too. Not in Miami, but Jacksonville, a road favorite for the second straight week in a row. How many times in his career has Trevor Lawrence been successful as a road favorite? So I'm with you. No, I wouldn't have wanted to hang my survivor hat on the Jacksonville Jaguars this week. I thought the Eagles was a good play. Turned out it didn't work.
So did what, 55% of people?
Yeah.
Crazy time. Yeah, we'll talk more about these games on the way.
Let's play our game of buy or sell. Buy or sell. Thursday night football should end after week 10, George. You going to buy or sell this?
It's too short a week. It's not healthy for the players. You'll never be able to convince me otherwise here. You know, the NFL will tell you, oh, stats tell us no, it's not more injuries in there. That's all BS. All right. Should it end after week 10? In a perfect world, there should be no Thursday night games. Should it end after week 10? Sure, I'll buy this. But it's not going to. There's too much money here. It's never going to end. All right, they're going to have it forever. You're lucky there's not a Friday, Saturday schedule as well, and there's some laws involved there as to why there's not. You know, the NFL is going to have a schedule or for any day they can get here. It's all about money here. And if the players don't want it, by the way, you got to realize, well, you're going to lose a significant chunk of revenue out of your salary as well here.
Right.
So I'll buy this, but it doesn't matter. It's not going away.
I mean, George just basically said everything that I was going to say, you know, so what is the reality? The games, so of course I'll buy it. The games are not good. Generally, the home team has a big advantage. If not, the teams are not prepared to play on Thursday night. Yes, there have been some upsets and some underdogs winning. We saw it Thursday night. But the quality of play on Thursday is lower than what it is on the weekends. And there's no end in sight to it because of what George said, the money. That's just all that matters. If Amazon Prime doesn't take it, Netflix will take it. If they don't take it, Apple will take it. If they don't take it, somebody else will take it. I don't know. Hulu, I don't know. You make it up. Someone will. So it is not going away. And, you know, generally speaking, I'm excited every week when the games begin and then I forget and then the games usually stink. And I'm like, oh, gosh, this game wasn't good anyway. So George is right. Not going away because of the money.
Fantasy Sports Today. Friday, starting at 3 p.m. Only on SportsGrid.
So we spent some time earlier, Brady, talking about the 2-point conversion that the Eagles went for. To me, a little bit too early. I think you're inclined to believe a little bit too early as well, or maybe in some ways too early, but also too late. Yeah, too early, but also too late. Yeah,
earlier I wouldn't have had a problem if you've got multiple possessions possible left.
Yeah, what I mean in saying that is, like you said, you know, if it were late third, early fourth, it makes more sense to you because, as you said, you know, you have multiple possessions left. But once you don't, then it feels too early in that, you know, you're just hoping for another possession and you don't need to do it there. Do it at the end when the game is truly on the line. Anyway, Greg Olson, analyst, as we know, tweeted out just a little while ago, the 2-point conversion is this. I want your thoughts. Philly trailed by 15. That's a 2-score game, slightly less than 50% of the time, 2-point success rate. It's a 3-score game, the remaining percentage. You want to know as early as possible how many possessions you need. That's why you go for 2 down 9. It's not debatable at all. And I just could not possibly disagree with that more. What's the difference if I know that I've got 3 minutes left or 2 and a change left, and I know that I need 2 more possessions at that point, meaning it's over, I'm done, versus doing it earlier and knowing, okay, I converted it, or I didn't convert it, or I didn't go for it, but now I'm down by 8 and I need 1 possession. You know, I need the stop, obviously, but I need 1 possession. I don't, like, to me, maybe I'm wrong, I didn't play the game. There's no benefit in knowing earlier whether I need 2 possessions or 3 possessions. You deal with it when you need to deal with it.
Well, I think because of how much time is left in the game, you have a pretty darn good idea of how many possessions are reasonable that you can expect. And where Philadelphia was in that game with only, maybe was it less than 3 minutes, maybe around 3 minutes, there's a chance that they never even saw the ball again. So I think at that point, you have to kind of scrap. And I agree with Olson that it's really not debatable if there's enough time for multiple possessions remaining in that ball game. Again, like we talked about, if it's late third quarter, early fourth, absolutely you go for the 2. I believe that is the right play. But where Philadelphia was when it was up in the air. It was debatable if they would even see the ball ever again. They had to obviously get it one more time, but they were not going to get it more than once, and maybe not even once. So I think at that point, you're like, okay, we've got to do this because we're not going to have 2 more chances. And if we're down by 9, we need at least 2 more chances. So I think that's where the mistake was for Philadelphia. Yes, they played it correct as far as the percentages and analytically, but given how much time was left in that game, I think they played it improperly.
All right, these college games that are going on right now. Indiana is back into Purdue territory, up 7-3 now in this game. Purdue is on the board with a field goal early in the second quarter. Remember, pregame, 54.5 the total, 12.5 the team total for the Boilermakers. Everything is still in play. The total has dropped down to 51.5, so it's come down the field goal. Indiana could be putting more points up. Just got a new set of downs, 1st and 10 at the Purdue 38. What's hilarious in this situation, Brady, it's a 7-3 game that Indiana is obviously up, but remember, pregame was favored by 28.5 points. Everything just locked, but I was looking at the money line. All right, here, it unlocked now. Let's see, I got to count the zeros. Indiana on the money line is a 1, 2, 3,
minus 100,000.
Minus 100,000 favorite on the money line, the game that Indiana leads by 4 points. Talk about respect.
You take your $100,000, you enter Circa Grandissimo, and they give you $100 back if you win, right? That's what happens with that bet right there.
Right.
And now that spread has come all the way down to 27.5. 1st and 15 on the Purdue 43 for Indiana. I told you, I didn't have a great feel about this game. You know, I was saying if I was ever going to do anything with this one, I'd probably lay the points. Purdue's been so bad. Signetti,
right.
You know, and Rich Sermonello agreed with this as well. Signetti has shown that he will not, you know, take his foot off the gas, and he will run up the score. Style points are a thing. But at the same time, Rich also kind of felt that there was next week, there was the Big Ten championship, and maybe that would leave the back door wide open for Barry Odom. And the other game is interesting. Texas and Texas A&M. The Longhorns are on the board with a field goal. Texas A&M, you know, they were driving. They ended up coming up empty. They still have a goose egg on the board. It's 3-0 in favor of Texas. And you and I were talking about this total earlier, and I said, I don't know, this game, I have a feeling could be very defensive. The in-game total is now 36.5. This is almost 20 points. This thing did close about 55. You know, and I know when we were previewing this game, you were talking 54.5. There were a lot of stores that had it up to 55. We're almost 20 points lower now, and we've still got an entire second quarter of football left. 12 minutes left in the second quarter. That's a huge move.
Well, if you did play the under, that's a hell of a middle. It's a hell of a middle.
No doubt. And where's the point that you want to middle it? Do you go now? I don't know. I think you wait it out. You might get a better number than 36.5.
Yeah, I would probably, and this would be greedy, but I'd probably wait and see if you could get below 30.
Oh, I wouldn't go that far. I think if I could get below 33, if I could get 32.5, I think I'd go.
All right. Well, we'll keep an eye on it, see what ends up happening. Indiana's into the red zone of the Purdue 11, by the way, and everything is locked. Texas, with the field goal, up 3-0, and still laying 2.5 as it was pregame. A&M will be getting the ball back here 3 minutes into quarter number 2. So we'll keep you posted. It's still pretty close to a pick'em, that game. Texas, minus 120 on the money line. A&M is at minus 106. Let's go back to the NFL, Brady. I want to start with this game, not because by any means it is the most appealing game, but because I'm guessing we're going to be on opposite sides, which is the Seahawks at home against the Vikings. For anyone that has not been paying attention, J.J. McCarthy sidelined with his concussion. Obviously, there's no Carson Wentz. That means Minnesota, coming in with 3 straight losses, is handing the reins, at least for a game, over to undrafted rookie Max Brosmer, I believe out of New Hampshire, who is
Minnesota,
going to be facing. Is that where he went to college?
I think he's a Golden Gopher. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he stayed close to home there.
All right. Maybe he's from New Hampshire. Something with New Hampshire I read about. But lots of pressure.
The point is, nobody knows Max Brosmer.
Really, that's the point. Dude, how many people had heard that name before I mentioned it? That if you're not in the NFL streets, great point. Seahawks are going to be pressuring them like crazy. They're stout against the run as well. Sam Darnold, revenge narrative for people that like that, going against the old team that quit on him to go back to J.J. McCarthy, didn't want to pay him. He's obviously very familiar with Brian Flores, practicing against that defense all throughout last season, and is also a guy that, for all the he sees ghosts and all that stuff, Sam Darnold's actually very good against the blitz, and he's going to be seeing the blitz from a team that does so more than anybody else across the league. Kenneth Walker, good spot for him. Average run defense on the other side. All of this is to say, Brady, I would lay the 11.5, even 12.5 with Seattle at home, and I wouldn't even hesitate. I feel like this is one of those spots where you're telling me on the road, despite the unknown at QB, you would take the dog. Tell me I'm wrong.
I don't think you're wrong. Minnesota's not a very good team. They've been a team that I've been down on all season. I've never been sold on J.J. McCarthy. And, that's not to say I haven't backed them in some spots. I want to say it was just last week or the week before. I thought they had a good situation. I can't remember which it was. But and they laid an egg. And it's interesting to think of J.J. McCarthy with those wide receivers, and he still hasn't been successful. I mean, I think that speaks volumes about his possible future or lack thereof in the NFL. Now, do I want to, back Max Brosmer in a team that I don't think is that great? Now, do I want to lay points with Seattle? I'm with you, Adam. I'd probably lay it before I took it.
Yeah, maybe a teaser situation. We could explore that as well. There are some double across this slate that we can get into coming up on Sunday. I'm sure there are some dogs that Brady likes. Stuff that jump out. We'll come on back, update on college football and more when we return.
Let's play our game of buy or sell. Buy or sell. Thursday night football should end after week 10, George. You're going to buy or sell this?
It's too short a week. It's not healthy for the players. You'll never be able to convince me otherwise here. The NFL will tell you, oh, stats tell us no, it's not more injuries. And that's all BS. All right. Should it end after week 10? In a perfect world, there probably should be no Thursday night games. Should it end after week 10? Sure, I'll buy this. But it's not going to. There's too much money here. It's never going to end, all right? They're going to have it forever. You're lucky there's not a Friday, Saturday schedule as well, and there's some laws involved there as to why there's not. The NFL is going to have a schedule or for any day they can get here. It's all about money here. And if the players don't want it, by the way, you're going to have to realize, well, you're going to lose a significant chunk of revenue out of your salary as well here.
Right.
So I'll buy this, but it doesn't matter. It's not going away.
I mean, George just basically said everything that I was going to say, so what is the reality? The games, so of course I'll buy it. The games are not good. Generally, the home team has a big advantage. If not, the teams are not prepared to play on Thursday night. Yes, there have been some upsets and some underdogs winning. We saw it Thursday night. But the quality of play on Thursday is lower than what it is on the weekends. And there's no end in sight to it because of what George said, the money. That's just all that matters. If Amazon Prime doesn't take it, Netflix will take it. If they don't take it, Apple will take it. If they don't take it, somebody else will take it. I don't know. Hulu, I don't know. You make it up. Someone will. So it is not going away. And, generally speaking, I'm excited every week when the games begin, and then I forget, and then the games usually stink, and I'm like, oh, gosh, this game wasn't good anyway. So George is right. Not going away because of the money.
Fantasy Sports Today. Friday, starting at 3 p.m. Only on SportsGrid.
So Steven, our producer / investigative journalist, has uncovered Brosmer started at New Hampshire, then wound up at wherever. Point is, nobody cares. And now he's starting for the first time in the NFL. And this guy has he's appeared in, I think, one game. He's barely any snaps under his belt. So he is a true unknown outside of obviously preseason play. We'll see what this looks like against Seattle. I think it's probably going to be ugly. College football real quick. Texas A&M is in the red zone, down 3-0 at Texas. 9:17 to go second quarter, 1st and 10 at the Longhorns 17. So for the total, that's taken us up a few points, Brady, to 39.5. I know you'd like to see it dip down in theory under 33. If they can hold them to a field goal here, that would go a long way to achieving that. Also, Indiana has scored again, back to laying 28.5, up 14-3, 9.5 to go, quarter two there.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel a little bit more comfortable about laying the 28.5 with Indiana in game, because now they've got an 11-point advantage. There's 9.5 minutes left in the second quarter still. So a lot of time for them to continue to build this lead. It's now 14-3, kind of started off slow. Looks like they're finding their rhythm now. But what worries me is like what Rich talked about. The back door could be open. And that, I think that's the question here. Does Cignetti continue to fire and try and put points on the board? Does he take Mendoza out of the game? Will it matter? So that's really the question. Late in the game here, will the back door be open? But if you're an Indiana backer, I kind of like the way this has turned for the moment. As far as Texas and Texas A&M, that total just came back down to 36.5 again. So
Yep.
3rd and 7 now for the Aggies on the 14-yard line of the Longhorns. Yeah, it could actually very well be a field goal here for A&M. And if that's the case, then yeah, you're probably going to see that total dip again. I might even say under 34.5. If we get to under 34.5, I think that's the green light for when you play this in-game over the total.
We are bobbing and weaving our way through the NFL and mentioned that there are some dogs that I know I like and inevitably you like as well. And I will remind people, so far, 4 games into week 13, dogs are not only 4-0 against the spread, 4-0 straight up, which is just insane with some of these games that we have had that obviously looked really good on paper and some better than others in reality. But dogs 4-0 straight up and against the spread. Here's another one where I like a dog to win outright. I'm curious what you think. And that is the Cardinals at the Buccaneers. Tampa at home is a 3.5 to 4.5 point favorite. The total in this game has come down a few points, 44 to 45.5, that range from 48.5. Both these teams are over teams over the course of this year. Both come in with 3 straight losses. The Cardinals, of course, Jacoby Brissett continues to start with Kyler Murray sidelined. Marvin Harrison Jr. is a question mark. I think the notable thing about Brissett is that he has a tremendous rapport with Trey McBride, obviously with Michael Wilson, who's been balling out the last couple of weeks, hitting the century mark in yards each time. Harrison, when he plays, this guy is so much more locked in within this offense with these guys than Kyler Murray has ever been, which is just an insane thing to say, but it's a fact. It can't be argued. The Bucs are vulnerable to the run. Not sure the Cardinals necessarily have the personnel to exploit those matchups with all of the bodies that they're down, whether it's James Conner, Trey Benson earlier this year, down to 3rd and 4th string running backs there for Arizona. The Bucs, we know Baker Mayfield, while he is expected to play, has the sprained AC joint, looked awful last week trying to throw with that thing before ultimately leaving early for Teddy Bridgewater. Already down a lot of different guys within that grouping. Of course, Chris Godwin is back. Emeka Egbuka looks great. It's a strong matchup, admittedly, for both Sean Tucker and Bucky Irving, assuming he's out there against a roughly 20th ranked defense. You can make a case for Tampa to be favored, especially at home. I get it. I just happen to think, I can't believe I'm saying this, but the way Brissett has been locked in offensively with the stars of the Arizona offense, I'm just comfortable they're going to put up points. And I'm not as sure that Tampa at Raymond James, with the way that they are ailing on both sides of the football, are going to put up points. So I like the Cardinals to win this thing outright. I take them with the points more conservatively, but I like them to win.
The Buccaneers, I've been saying this for a few weeks now. It feels like, and I said it actually earlier in the show today, it's similar, I believe, what's going on with the Detroit Lions. I don't think the Buccaneers are a bad team, but they can no longer survive these injuries that continue to pile up for this team. Now, I think we will get Bucky Irving back at running back for Tampa Bay. That will help. I don't know how good Baker Mayfield is going to be. We expect him to play, but how effective is he really going to be? And if it is Teddy Bridgewater, I mean, he did absolutely nothing in the last time that we saw the Buccaneers. So I think this team is really up against it. We talk about, Abuka. Yes, he is outstanding, but obviously Godwin, on the shelf, and Evans and Jamal Dean in the backfield, in the defensive backfield, some of these key players for Tampa Bay, and they just can't compete with all these horses on the injured reserve and on the sidelines. And it's the same thing with the Detroit Lions. There are so many good players. Cluster injuries are really what affect a football team. And now you're getting injuries in bunches for not only the Lions, but also Tampa Bay. So I don't disagree with you here. This is another game where we have seen a lot of line movement. I made the number pick 'em. I made it a pick 'em, figuring that Mayfield was not going to play. Now, when we see, and when it opened maybe 2.5, now that we see he's going to go, or at least give it a shot, it looks like, this line has gone to 4.5, and who knows, maybe it'll go higher. So what you're going to end up with here in football contests in Las Vegas is you're probably going to have a lot of activity on the Buccaneers, because the contest lines came out before the Baker, injury status was updated. The Westgate Super Contest is at Bucks -2.5. Circa is at Bucks -3. You're probably going to have a lot of people grabbing that line value and taking the Bucks. So again, having to go against the grain in the position that we're in, we took the Cardinals plus the points. And I don't necessarily disagree with you. Sometimes the road is the best spot for a team that's struggling. I wouldn't be surprised if Arizona's absolutely competitive in this game, and like you say, Adam, wins it outright.
A&M did settle for a field goal, so it's 3-3 A&M at Texas, 36. Meanwhile, Indiana laying 30.5. Good for Brady and good for investors. Pregame 28, and we'll back for more.
Let's play our game of buy or sell. Buy or sell. Thursday night football should end after week 10, George. You going to buy or sell this?
It's too short a week. It's not healthy for the players. You'll never be able to convince me otherwise here. The NFL will tell you, oh, stats tell us no, it's not more injuries. And that's all BS. All right. Should it end after week 10? In a perfect world, there probably should be no Thursday night games. Should it end after week 10? Sure, I'll buy this. But it's not going to. There's too much money here. It's never going to end, all right? They're going to have it forever. You're lucky there's not a Friday, Saturday schedule as well, and there's some laws involved there as to why there's not. The NFL is going to have a schedule or for any day they can get here. It's all about money here. And if the players don't want it, by the way, you got to realize, well, you're going to lose a significant chunk of revenue out of your salary as well here.
Right.
So I'll buy this, but it doesn't matter. It's not going away.
I mean, George just basically said everything that I was going to say, so what is the reality? The games, so of course I'll buy it. The games are not good. Generally, the home team has a big advantage. If not, the teams are not prepared to play on Thursday night. Yes, there have been some upsets and some underdogs winning. We saw it Thursday night. But the quality of play on Thursday is lower than what it is on the weekends. And there's no end in sight to it because of what George said, the money. That's just all that matters. If Amazon Prime doesn't take it, Netflix will take it. If they don't take it, Apple will take it. If they don't take it, somebody else will take it. I don't know. Hulu, I don't know. You make it up. Someone will. So it is not going away. And, generally speaking, I'm excited every week when the games begin, and then I forget, and then the games usually stink, and I'm like, oh, gosh, this game wasn't good anyway. So George is right. Not going away because of the money.
Fantasy Sports Today. Friday, starting at 3 p.m. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, Brady, as we look toward the NFL on Sunday, and of course, reminder, we will be with you again out there for 3 hours tomorrow night and go through some of these games and whatever injury news should happen to break between now and then. We'll give you updated thoughts. But the contest card, you've mentioned it a couple of times and rattled off, I should say, a couple of those plays. But what's the contest card across the multiple contests that you're in with you and your teammates? What's it looking like for Sunday with this? I don't want to call it an abbreviated week. It's just you have fewer games to choose from with so many already in the books.
Yeah, no bye weeks, but we have, of course, 4 games that have already been played, 3 on Thursday, 1 on Friday. So a pretty full schedule of Sunday action without the byes. I mentioned earlier that we do have an outside shot to cash in the Circa Sports Million quarterly prize. We're coming down to the final week of the third quarter. Every 4 or 5 weeks in the Circa Sports Million, there's an additional contest within the contest. You don't have to pay an additional fee. It's a part of the contest that exists. So, even if you're doing horribly for the overall prize, every 3 or 4 weeks, you've got a new opportunity to cash. And we have a shot here if we can pull a 5-0 this week. But we have to have a really oddball 5-0 because we have to make up some ground on the majority as we're, not front running. We're trying to chase from behind. So in the Circa contest, we ate some bad lines and took some bad sides that we hope just to get lucky and come through. We took the Niners laying 5.5. We took the Jaguars laying 6.5. That's currently 6 in the market. Who knows? Maybe it'll go down to 5.5 or less. We took the Cardinals +3. I mentioned that in the last segment. The Bucks are up to 4.5-point favorites. So if you're betting this game, you could have the Cardinals +4.5. Why would you ever take +3? Well, again, because we need to make some rogue moves. We took the Steelers +3, which is pretty much the price in the market, but we felt it looks like it's going to 3.5. So at the end of the day, it may be eating a bad number with Pittsburgh, but we kind of like their spot at home, catching points with Buffalo coming to town. And then finally, we played the Monday night game, Adam. Now, we took 7.5 with the Giants, okay? And that's not necessarily an unpopular side. It's not a number that is different from what the live market is. It might be a very popular play, getting that 7 and a hook. But the reason we did that is because if we go 4-0 and it looks like we have a chance to possibly find ourselves into some decent cash, we may go play your Patriots and hedge our bet at that point. So that's why we played the Monday night game as well. Contest strategy through and through on this Circa card. Now, on the Super Contest card, we played it a little bit more straightforward. We took the Niners -5, the Texans +4.5, which is a very good number versus the live market against the Colts. We took the Jets +2.5 against the Falcons. We took the Titans +6.5, opposite of our pick in Circa. We kind of like the Titans getting the full 6.5 there as a home dog in division. And then we took the Commanders +5.5, which I think is a very interesting pick. This is a team that has lost 6 in a row going into their bye week. Meanwhile, the Denver Broncos had won 8 in a row going into their bye week. And Adam, you've heard me talk about it before. A team that's on a roll that goes into a bye, not a good time to take a pause, not a good time to stop that momentum. A team that has lost 6 in a row that goes into a bye, perfect time to reset and have a pause where you can kind of go back to work and figure some things out. So I think that's the case here. You have, conflicting storylines coming in versus the bye. And I think it's beneficial for Washington and maybe not so much for Denver. I'll take the 5.5 points with the Commanders.
Going back to that Monday night game, we'll have more time to get into it, maybe tomorrow night or leading into the game, obviously. But I'm not even sitting here saying the Giants are the wrong side. I totally get that. I think what's interesting for this game is that Jackson cleared concussion protocol. He's going to start, not Jameis Winston, who's obviously been out there the last couple of games. Dart got hurt in week 10. Is it funny, and I can't back this up with data, this is opinion. I feel like I like the Giants more with Winston than I do with Dart. The roller coaster that is the Jameis Winston experience, sure, I expect there to be an interception, maybe even a pick six at some point, but that dude with Wan'Dale Robinson or Darius Slayton, whoever else, he is going to throw it all over the field and move the chains in a way that Jackson Dart just isn't quite capable of without his weapons.
Yeah, I love the fact that Jackson Dart can rush the football, though. He brings that, option to the offense. And I think both of these guys, you can say the same thing about Winston, but I think he invigorates the team. I think they really like this guy and they follow his lead. And I think he'll inject a little enthusiasm into that Giants team.
No question they like both those guys more than they like Russell Wilson. That is certain. We'll come on back. Hour 3 on the way.
Let's play our game of buy or sell. Buy or sell. Thursday night football should end after week 10, George. You going to buy or sell this?
It's too short a week. It's not healthy for the players. You'll never be able to convince me otherwise here. The NFL will tell you, oh, stats tell us no, it's not more injuries. And that's all BS. All right. Should it end after week 10? In a perfect world, there probably should be no Thursday night games. Should it end after week 10? Sure, I'll buy this. But it's not going to. There's too much money here. It's never going to end. All right, they're going to have it forever. You're lucky there's not a Friday, Saturday schedule as well, and there's some laws involved there as to why there's not. The NFL is going to have a schedule or for any day they can get here. It's all about money here. And if the players don't want it, by the way, you're going to realize, well, you're going to lose a significant chunk of revenue out of your salary as well here.
Right.
So I'll buy this, but it doesn't matter. It's not going away.
I mean, George just basically said everything that I was going to say, so what is the reality? The games, so of course I'll buy it. The games are not good. Generally, the home team has a big advantage. If not, the teams are not prepared to play on Thursday night. Yes, there have been some upsets and some underdogs winning. We saw it Thursday night. But the quality of play on Thursday is lower than what it is on the weekends. And there's no end in sight to it because of what George said, the money. That's just all that matters. If Amazon Prime doesn't take it, Netflix will take it. If they don't take it, Apple will take it. If they don't take it, somebody else will take it. I don't know. Hulu, I don't know. You make it up. Someone will. So it is not going away. And, generally speaking, I'm excited every week when the games begin and then I forget and then the games usually stink and I'm like, oh, gosh, this game wasn't good anyway. So George is right. Not going away because of the money.
Fantasy Sports Today. Friday, starting at 3 p.m. Only on SportsGrid.
Hour 3 in-game live here on SportsGrid. Brady Kannon and Adam Kaufman. We bring in our next and final guest to the program to hang out with us for a couple of segments and talk football, both college and pro. It's David Bierman, who is a regular on the network, this program, elsewhere. Joins Joe Ranieri and I quite a bit on Sundays. David, how are you?
Doing good. Finished eating my second consecutive Thanksgiving meal, so I'm not sure I'm going to eat the rest of the year, but maybe I'll have a salad tomorrow or something, though. Pretty stuffed.
There you go. I need some turkey leftovers tonight. We've got Arizona State kicking off here in the next couple of minutes in the third and most notable evening, top 25 matchup, I suppose, other than, certainly Texas A&M being underway. But this game here, it's pretty close to a pick'em. Arizona on the road. The number 25 team is a 1.5 favorite at number 20, Arizona State. Minus 126 on the money line, plus 108 for the home team. The total 48.5. Where would you go here if you don't already have something in pocket?
I don't have anything in pocket. I think this game is too close to call, but if I was going to choose one or if I have a boost and someone says, hey, you got to pick one game here, I'd probably take Arizona State. They're the home team who's actually playing for a chance to win a conference title. They need some help, but first things first, they need to take care of their arch rival in Arizona, win that game, and then watch the scoreboard tomorrow, and you could wind up in the Big 12 title game. Arizona, obviously, they're still a ranked team, but they're playing their rivals with a chance to knock them off and pretty much end their title hopes. I'm just going to lean Arizona State. I just think they're a slightly better team, but there's a reason why the spread has gone back and forth between even 1 and 1 on both sides, 1.5 now for the road team. I just like Arizona State in this one, but it's not a huge lean whatsoever.
David, of course, you are a proud Florida Gator alumni, and I'm a fan of that school. My son went there, and it hasn't been a great year, obviously, for the Florida Gators. I want to know a couple of things. Can they put a positive spin to end their season with a win over Florida State on Saturday, the perennial rival game against their in-state rival from Tallahassee that always plays around this weekend, Thanksgiving? And secondly, do they win again in the Lane Kiffin sweepstakes? What are you hearing on your end on that regard?
Well, starting with the Florida State game tomorrow, and if you're not watching ESPN2 at 4:30, what are you doing? I mean, here's a matchup. You said it's always been this weekend. I go back to my freshman year of college. This was a matchup between the top two teams in the country, both undefeated. Florida State won that one, and then Florida got the revenge in the Sugar Bowl national title game. And we are a long ways away from that to top two teams in the country playing for the national title. This is a game that Florida, their only thing they got going for them is they can stop Florida State from going to a bowl game for what that's worth. That's what this game has meant the last couple of years, is both universities have floundered. You know, Florida's at home, tough place to play in Gainesville. It's a rivalry game, and you can prevent your team from your rival from going to a bowl game. Listen, it's hard. This is no different than like a December 26th bowl game. You don't know which players are invested, which players are headed to the portal, which players are waiting to find out who the head coach is. It just for pride. The guy on the other side of the field you probably played high school with or was in your district. You know how it is, Brady, with these two schools. These guys have played each other from Pee-wee all the way up to college. It's pride, and somebody's going to walk away with a win and someone's going to walk away with a loss. Neither team's going anywhere. As far as your second question's concerned, listen, you said it's been a tough season. That didn't get any better today. Word on the street from people that I know and what we've read on social media is they're out of the Lane Kiffin sweepstakes. Now, you could, whatever you could hear that Florida pulled out, didn't want to wait any longer for Lane, which I find hard to believe, or that Lane said, I'm not going to Florida, so Florida's move on to the Tulane coach. But all I know is yesterday it looked like Florida was going to get Lane Kiffin. I was optimistic. Everything I had read, everything I've been told was that Florida is just doing it quietly, and LSU was going out of their way to make a public spectacle of it, as they like to do. Now I'm not so sure. If I had to bet, I would bet on Lane Kiffin going nowhere, which is kind of what I thought all along. You got a championship program. You're number 6 in the country. You have an outside chance at an SEC championship, but you're going to be in the college football playoff. You're going to host a game in the Grove in a couple of weeks for a playoff game. Do you need to leave to go to Florida or LSU? I would go to Florida before I went to LSU, but obviously looking behind me, I'm highly biased. I mean, if you go to LSU in 2 years when you're 9-3 again, they're going to chase you out. Brian Kelly, all he did was win 9 games every year, and he's getting chased out of there. So they're not going to be getting Lane Kiffin, which is disappointing, but at the same time, the wait has been long enough. Let's move on and get someone else.
We are nearing halftime between Texas A&M and Texas, but we could have a score change. A&M is in the red zone. We're looking at first and goal at the Texas 9, about 70 seconds to go in the half. It's tie game 3-3 for now, but A&M is now laying 5.5 on the live line. The total 36.5, where it's been for the last little bit here. Anything that you would do in game with this one?
I took Texas A&M before the game. I took them on the money line. I know they were a slight dog, which didn't make any sense to me, even though they're on the road. But Texas has shown me absolutely nothing all year. They lost to Florida. We just talked about how bad Florida was. I think A&M wins this game, and if you're going to hop on A&M, I would do it before they score here. You just said that live line's going to change. I like A&M. I think that they are the best team in the SEC, which not many people thought heading in, and people were just waiting for a Texas or Georgia or Alabama to take over. This is the best team in the SEC. It might be the best team in the country. You know, obviously Ohio State and Indiana are going to battle out in the Big Ten, but A&M's going to win tonight, win the SEC, and they'll be right there with a bye and have as good of a shot as anybody to win the national title. And if you look at the SEC teams between Texas, Georgia, Alabama, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M, I'd be putting my money on Texas A&M. I think they just do it on both sides of the ball. And you've seen they've beaten Notre Dame, who right now is everybody's talk of the playoff, and they're running. It's not easy to go perfect in the SEC. I know they had to dodge a couple of games here and there, and they're not playing Alabama or Georgia in the regular season. They're going to get one of them in the SEC title game, but I think that's your best team in the conference.
David, we'll keep you another segment here and talk some NFL, but I wonder if you have any other college games for Saturday in pocket that you have some action on.
I think Ohio State is finally going to get it done in the big game. I know all the talk has been on Michigan, who's owned them. That was great under Harbaugh and what's going on. And I know Ohio State lost last year, but then ended up winning the national title. Ohio State hasn't lost since. They're the best team in the country for a reason. I have Ohio State and I laid it. I understand it's in Ann Arbor and they have them by the – Michigan's not as good as Ohio State. They're the team that no one's talked about all year for a reason. I know they played well of late with the same team that lost to Oklahoma. I have Ohio State winning this game tomorrow.
Midday tomorrow, we've got Oregon, the number 6 team in the country, at Washington. The Ducks 6.5-point favorites. The total's what jumps out to me, though, at 51.5, because in recent meetings between these schools, independent of who you think wins, and typically of late it is Oregon, it's just over city. I mean, we're getting points all the time. Does that continue in your mind?
I do think it does, because neither team is interested in playing defense, and they run a very, very high-paced offense on both sides of the field. They're two very good teams. I like Oregon in the game, and I would take the over. I know a lot of people think Big Ten football, it's 3 yards in a cloud of dust. These are not two Big Ten teams. These are two Pac-12 teams happy playing in the Big Ten. I am expecting this one to fly over the total as well, and I think we're getting a little bit of a good price at 51.5, to be honest.
David, it seems we were talking with Rich Sermonello earlier, and he mentioned the ghosts of the Iron Bowl. There always seems to be something funny about the Iron Bowl. Of course, we remember the kick six. What a finish. One of the craziest finishes to a college football game ever. Is there any craziness in the plains of Auburn on Saturday with the Iron Bowl, the Tigers and the Crimson Tide?
I mean, you never know when these two teams get together. I just think there's a definite dearth of talent at Auburn. They lost their coach. Players are heading to the portal. I think Alabama is the better team. That's a no-brainer there. They have a college football playoff spot on the line, and I know there's been other situations like the kick six and the Cam Newton comeback game where Alabama has lost the season because of an Auburn win. I just think those two teams Auburn went on and won the national title in one of those appearances. So there's a definite difference in talent and coaching in this one, and I think Alabama does what they need to do and gets on to the SEC championship game where you see them play A&M next week in Atlanta.
A&M now laying 7.5 on the live line at plus money, plus 110, a touchdown for the Aggies to put them up 9-3, extra point pending. Final minute of the opening half here, and the total has jumped up to 39.5. Indiana, meanwhile, up 21-3, laying 32.5. If you invest in the minus 28.5, you're looking good right now. We'll be back much more on the way. NFL Talk with David Bierman on the other side.
Let's play our game of buy or sell. Buy or sell. Thursday night football should end after week 10, George. You going to buy or sell this?
It's too short a week. It's not healthy for the players. You'll never be able to convince me otherwise here. Either the NFL will tell you, oh, stats tell us no, it's not more injuries. And that's all BS. All right. Should it end after week 10? In a perfect world, there probably should be no Thursday night games. Should it end after week 10? Sure, I'll buy this. But it's not going to. There's too much money here. It's never going to end, all right? They're going to have it forever. You're lucky there's not a Friday, Saturday schedule as well, and there's some laws involved there as to why there's not. You know, the NFL is going to have a schedule or for any day they can get here. It's all about money here. And if the players don't want it, by the way, you're going to have to realize, well, you're going to lose a significant chunk of revenue out of your salary as well here.
Right.
So I'll buy this, but it doesn't matter. It's not going away.
I mean, George just basically said everything that I was going to say, you know, so what is the reality? The games, so of course I'll buy it. The games are not good. Generally, the home team has a big advantage. If not, the teams are not prepared to play on Thursday night. Yes, there have been some upsets and some underdogs winning. We saw it Thursday night. But the quality of play on Thursday is lower than what it is on the weekends. And there's no end in sight to it because of what George said, the money. That's just all that matters. If Amazon Prime doesn't take it, Netflix will take it. If they don't take it, Apple will take it. If they don't take it, somebody else will take it. I don't know. Hulu, I don't know. You make it up. Someone will. So it is not going away. And, you know, generally speaking, I'm excited every week when the games begin, and then I forget, and then the games usually stink, and I'm like, oh, gosh. this game wasn't good anyway. So George is right, not going away because of the money.
Fantasy Sports Today. Friday starting at 3 p.m. Only on SportsGrid.
Indiana has scored again, 28-3. Where have I heard that score before as a Patriots fan? 38.5 on the live line. Indiana is leading this one. Don't make that face, David. We're going to bring you back here. I know. Let's talk about your team in the AFC, the Dolphins, as we appreciate the decor behind you, as you noted. Dolphins are favorites. 2 straight wins. Mike McDaniel's hanging on to that job, for dear life. I can't even tell you how many times this year I thought he'd be out, and here he is, still, controlling things, as it were, on the sidelines. And this Miami team's a 5.5-point favorite at home against a miserable Tyler Shuck-led Saints team that has little going for it, as we know. This team is going to be right in there in the conversation for the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft. Miami probably a popular play in Survivor this weekend as well. To me, I certainly don't want to lay the number, and that's not me having any confidence in New Orleans. It's more the sort of Jekyll and Hyde performances we've seen this year out of Miami. It's not a trustworthy group, like many teams across the NFL, especially this time of year. So is there a right way to bet this game going in?
Yeah, and Adam, I think you teed it up perfectly. I wouldn't lay 5.5 with the Dolphins either because of their inconsistency. Are they 5.5 points better than the Saints? Sure, they should be. But this is also a team that lost to the Cleveland Browns as if they didn't know how to play NFL football, and the team that blew a 3-touchdown lead to the Carolina Panthers. So anything can happen. The Dolphins are playing well of late. They've won 2 in a row. They went over to Spain and beat the Commanders. They should win this game. I got a text message from a buddy yesterday, Dolphins survivor ? And my answer was honest. I go, I would never advise anybody to ever do that under any circumstances, especially with this team. So I said, listen, should they win? Of course they should win. But if I had $1 for every time the Dolphins should win and don't, I wouldn't have to be on this show. I'd be retired on a beach down in Miami. The way I'm going to play it is I'm going to play it with what you started off saying, the miserable New Orleans Saints. This is a play against the Saints team that has 3, 10, 7, and 10 in their last 5 games. They don't have a starting quarterback. You just mentioned the rookie in there. They don't have Alvin Kamara. Even their backup running back is injured, and he on the IL. Devin Neal is playing, and he's banged up as well. I just don't think this offense can do anything tomorrow. And the Miami Dolphin defense, which was ridiculed for being awful the first couple of weeks of the year, rightfully so, has actually turned it around. Last 4 games, they've allowed 10, 28, 13, and 13. And after a horrible start to the season, allowing 400 yards or more in 4 of their first 6 games, they've actually held teams under 400 yards in 5 consecutive games, under 250 yards in 2 of them. And that includes games against the Bills and the Falcons and the Commanders, who used to be a good offense. So the defense has been playing well. Saints have no quarterback, no running back. Receivers are banged up as well. I'm going Saints team total under 17.5. I'd be stunned if the Saints score 3 or more times. I actually was going to take this under 15.5. I was surprised to see it at that over 17 number at 17.5. Listen, if the Saints score 17, 20 points, they're going to win this ball game because Miami can't afford to give those points up. To me, this is going to be about a 27-10 type football game in my mind.
David, I'm going to stay in the NFC South because, boy, what a compelling division that is. I mean, this is some of the best football we've ever seen in our lifetimes out of this division, right? I mean, the Saints, the Panthers, the Atlanta Falcons, boy, there's something to really, be stunned by. I mean, they can't even beat your Miami Dolphins in their home building. No. So now we're going to send them out on the road as a road favorite. Now, I know it's the Jets. I mean, this is another ugly game, but why is it only 2.5? I think the home dog is the way to go here.
I agree, even though, again, just like picking the Dolphins in Survivor, taking somebody to take the Jets as the home dog is not something I advertise often. If I were going to pick a side in this game, and to me this is a stay-away game, if anything, I'll go with the under since I love taking unders, and it's 2 crappy teams right now. I would go with the Jets if I had to pick a side. It's only 2.5 because you just can't trust Atlanta. You can't trust Kirk Cousins. They haven't been running the ball well. Drake London's injured. It's just not a good situation there. I think he's the next coach to go, and Raheem Morris just hasn't gotten it done with great offensive weapons. This is a team that was predicted by many to knock off the Bucs this year and win that division. And even with the Bucs playing terrible, they can't win the division because right now it's the Panthers that are in contention with the Bucs. It's a terrible division. Do I think the Jets are going to win? I mean, the Jets beat the Bengals. The Jets played the Browns. Like, they can win versus crappy teams, and that's what you're getting in the Atlanta Falcons. They're at home. Not that matters at MetLife. To me, it's just stay away, take a couple of props. I think I'm taking Breece Hall over against the Falcons' rush defense. But other than that, maybe an under. Maybe if one of the teams jumps up early, I might jump in live. But other than that, the game doesn't have much interest for me, and it shouldn't be on any of your octo boxes on your TV either.
Adam, I should have told you coming in that David and I are actually connecting in Las Vegas tomorrow. We have a sportsbook booth reserved, and all we're going to watch is Florida State, Florida on Saturday, and the Falcons and the Jets on Sunday. It's going to be fantastic.
There's going to be a lot of hate. Gonna have to keep the bets going so the drinks are flowing. Just keep those drinks coming while you're sitting in the books. You're gonna need them watching those games. Let me tell you. Look, if we're gonna sit here and talk about bad football, let's just stay in the NFC South for a minute because David, I can't believe I've been saying this often throughout this week. I think this Panthers team, who has been underdogs in every week this year but one, is very live to win this division because obviously only one team from that division is getting in, and it's the winner. And I think Tampa Bay, by the end, might just be too injured to get this job done. So a feisty Panthers team. That said, at home against a red-hot, streaking 6 straight wins Rams team that is maybe the class of the NFL, certainly looking like it in the NFC right now, Brady can't possibly be on my side on this one. We haven't talked about this game yet. We'll do so later. I would lay the number with LA. I'd lay the 10-10.5. I think the Rams are going to go out there and take care of business in an emphatic way. This Carolina team is just not very good. And Bryce Young, we saw it off of what he did, against the, Falcons to do what he did against the Niners, coming back down to earth. I think this is going to be ugly for the home team. But how do you see it?
It's funny, the NFC South, all these teams you fall in love with for 5 minutes and you bet on them and then they screw you over. You did that with Tampa, you did that with Atlanta, and now you got Carolina, who I took last week against San Francisco and fell on my face on that one. So I'm out on the Panthers. I love the Rams. I have them everywhere to win Super Bowl, division, and conference. I do think they take care of business with Carolina. I just hope nobody gets injured.
Well put. David Bierman on Twitter is that very same name. We enjoyed chatting with you. Maybe we'll catch you again on the grid this weekend here. Look forward to it. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy.
Let's play our game of buy or sell. Buy or sell. Thursday night football should end after week 10, George. You're going to buy or sell this?
It's too short a week. It's not healthy for the players. You'll never be able to convince me otherwise here. The NFL will tell you, stats tell us now it's not more injuries. And that's all BS. All right. Should it end after week 10? In a perfect world, there should be no Thursday night games. Should it end after week 10? Sure, I'll buy this. But it's not going to. There's too much money here. It's never going to end, all right? They're going to have it forever. You're lucky there's not a Friday, Saturday schedule as well, and there's some laws involved there as to why there's not. The NFL is going to have a schedule or for any day they can get here. It's all about money here. And if the players don't want it, by the way, you got to realize, you're going to lose a significant chunk of revenue out of your salary as well here.
Right.
So I'll buy this, but it doesn't matter. It's not going away.
I mean, George just basically said everything that I was going to say, so... What is the reality? The games, so of course I'll buy it. The games are not good. Generally, the home team has a big advantage. If not, the teams are not prepared to play on Thursday night. Yes, there have been some upsets and some underdogs winning. We saw it Thursday night. But the quality of play on Thursday is lower than what it is on the weekends. And there's no end in sight to it because of what George said, the money. That's just all that matters. If Amazon Prime doesn't take it, Netflix will take it. If they don't take it, Apple will take it. If they don't take it, somebody else will take it. I don't know. Hulu, I don't know. You make it up. Someone will. So it is not going away. And, generally speaking, I'm excited every week when the games begin, and then I forget, and then the games usually stink, and I'm like, oh, gosh, this game wasn't good anyway. So George is right. Not going away because of the money.
Fantasy Sports Today. Friday, starting at 3 p.m. Only on SportsGrid.
Our thanks to David Bierman. Great chatting with him about both college football and the NFL. Some college updates across the 3 games, top 25 teams involved that are going on right now. At the half, A&M is up 10-3 at Texas. 7.5 on the live line for the Aggies right now. Plus money, by the way. 37.5 plus money to the over on that. So would love for it to dip down a little bit. Maybe if we get a lack of any points, in the first, I don't know, let's call it 4 or 5 minutes of this second half. When that gets going, we can bring that total down a few. Indiana's up 28-3 at Purdue in the closing seconds of the first half. Brady, the Hoosiers are laying 39.5 points with this 25-point lead, and the total is back to the 54.5 where it was pre-flop. So it speaks, pardon me. Arizona State, by the way, scoreless mid-first. The total with Indiana and Purdue, we kind of hit it on the head. We talked about this a lot before this game kicked off. Hey, do you go under for the full game if you like that? How emphatically do you think Indiana wins this game? Would you be tempted to go under 12.5 Purdue? All of these things, that we were throwing out. And right now, pretty much everything that we discussed is tracking. I realize it's only one half. Things can change. But at the moment, this one's gone according to script.
Yeah, absolutely. And I said coming in, especially as far as the total was concerned, I didn't really know what to do with that, because when you have a blowout game, I think it's very hard to gauge what the total is going to do. If you don't have both participants contributing to the scoring, I think it's very hard to have a game go over the total. Now, that being said, Indiana could cover this total by themselves. I think it's probably true if they wanted to. Will they take their foot off the gas late in the game and preserve some healthy bodies for next week when they play in the Big Ten championship? There's just a lot of question marks in this game. In game, do I want to lay 39.5? No. You feel pretty good right now if you laid 28.5. I think that one is almost to the barn. If you could give me 28.5 right now, it's real easy to say, but I think you're doing pretty well with that number. 39.5, no, you just start to bring in all those other question marks that I'm talking about.
Now, I will say I see Purdue 2nd and 10 at the Indiana 36 with about 7 seconds to go in the second quarter. And so it's possible we'll get a field goal. And what's interesting about that, what they're getting ready to attempt it, what's interesting about that, if it comes through, is you got a 22-point game. So sure, a touchdown gets you back to clearing that 28.5. But if you did go under on the 12.5, well, apparently you missed it, so it doesn't matter. But I was going to say, if he had hit it, and now they have 6 points, and if you did go under on that 12.5 point total for Purdue pregame, then a touchdown in the second half kills you. Just the one score. Now you still have a little bit of breathing room here, Brady.
Isn't it interesting? These odds makers, they're pretty good at what they do. The team
Aren't
total
they?
on Purdue 12. And when half the game was over, they should have had 6. Imagine that, huh? I mean, that's something, right? So yeah, I think where it stands now, if you're able to play the Purdue team total, if it's still at 12.5 or 13, I think now you play it under. Absolutely. Because we're trusting what the original number is. Half the game is finished and they've only got 3. Now that being said, are you going to lay all those points because Indiana is going to double up, this 25-point advantage? They're going to win this game by 50? No, not necessarily. Again, it's what we talked about. Will Cignetti take his foot off the gas? Is there concern for the health of his Heisman Trophy candidate, Mendoza, the quarterback, and next week's game? There's just a lot of unknown left on the table here. So I really don't want any.
Let me tell you about the team totals right. Indiana's team total right now is 45.5. Purdue sitting at 6 points. The team total for the Boilermakers is 6.5.
Wow. Gosh. I think I would probably go over on the Purdue team total, Adam, because again, let's trust the original number. So
Yeah.
you're saying, if they're going to get a score and get closer to that 12 and a half or what have you. So that would be over 6.5 at this point for me. The Indiana one, you're talking, 16 points or so. I'd probably go over that as well because I don't think they're going to necessarily call off the dogs until the fourth quarter. Can they score 17 points in the third quarter? Very possible.
Yeah, well, like you said, can they? Sure, if they decide to. Thing is,
Yeah.
Signetti, they're not tracking the data that we're tracking. They don't care about our numbers. They care about other numbers that have nothing to do with betting. Unfortunately for us, but, probably good for the integrity of the sport. We'll come on back. More college football, more Belgium, or here on SportsGrid. Stay tuned.
Let's play our game of buy or sell. Buy or sell. Thursday night football should end after week 10, George. You going to buy or sell this?
It's too short a week. It's not healthy for the players. You'll never be able to convince me otherwise here. The NFL will tell you, oh, stats tell us no, it's not more injuries. And that's all BS. All right. Should it end after week 10? In a perfect world, there probably should be no Thursday night games. Should it end after week 10? Sure, I'll buy this. But it's not going to. There's too much money here. It's never going to end, all right? They're going to have it forever. You're lucky there's not a Friday, Saturday schedule as well, and there's some laws involved there as to why there's not. The NFL is going to have a schedule or for any day they can get here. It's all about money here. And if the players don't want it, by the way, you got to realize, well, you're going to lose a significant chunk of revenue out of your salary as well here.
Right.
So I'll buy this, but it doesn't matter. It's not going away.
I mean, George just basically said everything that I was going to say, so what is the reality? The games, so of course I'll buy it. The games are not good. Generally, the home team has a big advantage. If not, the teams are not prepared to play on Thursday night. Yes, there have been some upsets and some underdogs winning. We saw it Thursday night. But the quality of play on Thursday is lower than what it is on the weekends. And there's no end in sight to it because of what George said, the money. That's just all that matters. If Amazon Prime doesn't take it, Netflix will take it. If they don't take it, Apple will take it. If they don't take it, somebody else will take it. I don't know. Hulu, I don't know. You make it up. Someone will. So it is not going away. And, generally speaking, I'm excited every week when the games begin, and then I forget, and then the games usually stink, and I'm like, oh, gosh, this game wasn't good anyway. So George is right. Not going away because of the money.
Fantasy Sports Today. Friday, starting at 3 p.m. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, back with Brady here. We are looking at some NFL and college football action. Again, A&M up by 7 at Texas at halftime. Indiana up 25 at the break at Purdue. And Arizona State still scoreless and nearing the end of the opening quarter. That total, Brady, is down to 35.5. We had a lot of people on with us throughout the show saying, yes, coin flip kind of game. And at the moment, definitely playing out. Minus money on both sides on the money line.
Well, I thought a very astute analysis by Rich Sermonello, who pointed out how good the defenses are for both of these teams. And that's not something we necessarily associate with Arizona State and Arizona. And you talked about it with Oregon and Washington, that you expect a lot of points. That's something that we typically see. Now, Oregon does have a much better defense this year. When we think Oregon, we think of Chip Kelly, right? And that whole new type of offense that this team has seemed to have, represent for now, 15 years or so or more. But this year they actually play pretty darn good defense. But Arizona State and Arizona, when was the last time we really associated defense with those two sides? And Rich Sermonello was spot on, no score. I tell you, Adam, I might go under 35.5 at this point. Now, that's not necessarily good in-game wagering strategy, because if we have an entire first quarter here that goes scoreless and that total plummets in the in-game market, that's the time to jump on the over, right? But I don't know. This one, it's like I talked about with A&M and Texas. I think defense is going to rule the roost here in Tempe as well.
Let's get back to the NFL. We had David Bierman on with us just a little while ago for anyone just joining us now. And during our unintentional NFC South segment, we were talking about the Panthers at home against the Rams, who are scorching hot, 6 straight wins. Again, leading the NFC, not only the NFC West. And in the conversation, obviously, is the top team in the entire league, with the leader in the clubhouse at the moment for MVP. And that is, of course, Matthew Stafford. Now, this team should be able to decimate that Panthers team, at least in terms of what it does to its defense. Between Stafford, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Kyron Williams, Panthers are down multiple stars, both linebacker, cornerback. I mean, across the defense, they are down several players. And this Rams defense, which is excellent, particularly against the run, I don't see them having very many issues with that Panthers offense. And so I already mentioned I would lay the number, not as comfortably as I would Seattle, as we talked about the Seahawks earlier in that game, but I would lay the double digits in this one with the Rams, even on the road at Carolina. Now, maybe, and you can tell me, maybe the smarter play, and David alluded to this when talking about the Saints in that contest against the Dolphins, maybe it's don't lay the number with the Rams, just go under on the team total for the Panthers, something along those lines. What do you think of this game?
I'd probably be with you, Adam, and actually lay the number with a road favorite, which, I think, and if you look at the statistics in recent history, this recent version of what the NFL game is today, there's a lot of big favorites that tend to cover. And that wasn't necessarily the case when you dial it back, 10, 20, whatever in time. But now I think this version of the NFL, we do get more double-digit favorites that actually cover the number. And I would probably go that direction before I tried to stomach the Carolina Panthers being able to stay inside this number. Now, they're in the role that they're much more comfortable with. We saw them as a favorite this year, and that did not end well at all. As a home underdog is something that they typically, a situation where they flourish. But this Rams team is so good. You and I have talked about it on the show before. I think it's the best team in the NFL. And I think they proved that again last week. They're so hard to defend, especially in the red zone with Nacua and Adams, and they have a running game, and they have a very good defense and a pass rush and a great coach. And oh, by the way, probably an MVP at quarterback. I mean, they're really loaded. And when I crunch all my numbers, I made the number 10.5 myself, but when I crunch all the stats, I come out Rams by 14. So I'd probably lay it, because what I saw out of Carolina, and I know it's not good practice to just bet on what you saw last. That'll really get you in trouble in the NFL. Carolina struggled mightily against San Francisco, had a number of chances to cover that game quite easily, but managed to find ways to come up short. And Bryce Young, at all 5'3", trying to throw the ball over the line of scrimmage and picks it off in the end zone. And, they're still a team that I believe is growing and maturing. And I think Canales is doing a good job, but they're still a couple years away. And I don't think they really belong in the same ballpark as the Los Angeles Rams.
Why don't we go AFC South? This is a very interesting game. Obviously, one team that is currently in the playoffs, another that is trying to get in. That division is still in question, maybe on account of injuries. The Colts at home, 6-0 at home, by the way, 8-3 overall against the Texans, who come in at 6-5 and riding a 3-game winning streak. So just when you thought they were dead, Davis Mills keeps you alive. C.J. Stroud returning from his injury absence. Stroud I have considered to be pretty underwhelming, really, over the last year and a half. Very good as a rookie. Huge regression as a sophomore this year. Injuries have played a role, but haven't loved him. Obviously doesn't have a great offensive line in front of him. That comes into play also. But he has Nico Collins, who is always a huge weapon. And most notably, the reason for this turnaround is that defense is exceptional. What's that going to mean for the Colts, who really have been winning their games offensively? Daniel Jones, we find out, is expected to play, but he's basically been playing on a broken leg. And Jonathan Taylor, who is not going to win MVP simply because the voters don't go to non-quarterbacks, but he is going to be the offensive player of the year. And it's not a great matchup for him. He got bottled up last week by the Chiefs. It's a similar defense on the other side against the run here. Might not be a factor, at least a huge, what we're used to seeing Jonathan Taylor type of factor again. I like the Colts. I wouldn't lay the 3.5. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if the Texans win this game.
Yeah, this is a good football game. I'm interested in watching this one. And from a contest standpoint, we've seen this number move in the live market. It came out in both Circa Sports Million and the Westgate Super Contest at 4.5 in favor of the Colts. So I think the Texans are going to be a very popular play when you're getting that 4.5 versus what the live market is currently dealing, which is 3.5, like you say. I can't argue at all with taking 4.5 with this defense and this Colts team that we're starting to see show some chinks in the armor. And you mentioned the Daniel Jones injury. However, I might wait here. And if I could get a flat 3, or who knows, maybe it'll even go to 2.5. I doubt it'll get there. But I have a feeling the Colts might win this game, and if they win the game, they might just cover it because, and here's my rationale there. 4.5 is a big number, and I do believe that this is probably truly more of a field goal game either way. So I think taking 4.5 is a good bet to make. But at the same time, the stock is really high on the Texans right now. Oh my gosh, here come the Texans. The defense is amazing, which it is. Davis Mills, holds down the fort while CJ Stroud is concussed. He's now coming back. Everything is great in Houston. And everybody's, the sky is falling in Indianapolis. They've lost a couple games. Daniel Jones hurt. this team's a fraud, blah, blah, blah. I think they could absolutely get right here. This offensive line is really good. This offensive line, can at least probably slow down that pass rush a little bit. Jonathan Taylor rushing the football will help Daniel Jones. If Jones is not knocked out of this game, if he's able to do his thing, I think the Colts could be kind of a sneaky favorite play here. The other part of the equation here is if Daniel Jones's leg is giving him trouble, that play action game that he has with Taylor is going to be very difficult to execute, and that could be Texans all day long. So a few different angles here. I'm staying away from the game. I didn't play it, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Colts showed up when everybody thinks it's a great game for the Houston Texans.
Riley Leonard will be waiting there on the sideline, hoping and praying for an opportunity. We'll get back more on the way. Update to come to 12. Stay with us.
Let's play our game of buy or sell. Buy or sell. Thursday night football should end after week 10, George. You going to buy or sell this?
It's too short a week. It's not healthy for the players. You'll never be able to convince me otherwise here. The NFL will tell you, oh, stats tell us, no, it's not more injuries. And that's all BS. All right. Should it end after week 10? In a perfect world, there probably should be no Thursday night games. Should it end after week 10? Sure, I'll buy this, but it's not going to. There's too much money here. It's never going to end, all right? They're going to have it forever. You're lucky there's not a Friday, Saturday schedule as well, and there's some laws involved there as to why there's not. The NFL is going to have a schedule or for any day they can get here. It's all about money here. And if the players don't want it, by the way, you got to realize, well, you're going to lose a significant chunk of revenue out of your salary as well here.
Right.
So I'll buy this, but it doesn't matter. It's not going away.
I mean, George just basically said everything that I was going to say, so... What is the reality? The games, so of course I'll buy it. The games are not good. Generally, the home team has a big advantage. If not, the teams are not prepared to play on Thursday night. Yes, there have been some upsets and some underdogs winning. We saw it Thursday night. But the quality of play on Thursday is lower than what it is on the weekends. And there's no end in sight to it because of what George said, the money. That's just all that matters. If Amazon Prime doesn't take it, Netflix will take it. If they don't take it, Apple will take it. If they don't take it, somebody else will take it. I don't know. Hulu, I don't know. You make it up. Someone will. So it is not going away. And, generally speaking, I'm excited every week when the games begin, and then I forget, and then the games usually stink, and I'm like, oh, gosh, this game wasn't good anyway. So George is right. Not going away because of the money.
Fantasy Sports Today. Friday, starting at 3 p.m. Only on SportsGrid.
Brady, when David Bierman was on with us, he mentioned that a friend of his reached out to him and asked him, Dolphins survivor, ? And look, you get to week 13, you're going to have to get into the nitty gritty of teams that you ordinarily wouldn't necessarily trust. He said, look, I think they win. I don't think they're a bad play. Would I trust them? Absolutely not. And that's exactly how I feel about Miami. I assume it's probably how you feel about Miami, but I want your insights here. The Dolphins 5.5-point favorites at home against the Saints. David said he doesn't want to lay the 5.5. He'd rather play the under on the team total for New Orleans because that team has so little to work with. The Dolphins, they've been better of late. 2 straight wins. Not a playoff team, but 4-7 and not woefully embarrassing the way it looked like it was going to go this season earlier on under Mike McDaniel. What do you think going into tomorrow or Sunday?
Yeah. We talked about this one on the Las Vegas Football Contest show, which is up now, wherever you get your podcast, YouTube, all that good stuff. It'll be on SportsGrid here a little bit later this evening. And my colleagues brought up, I think, some really good points. And first of all, everybody knows this. It looks like Chris Olave and Alvin Kamara are going to be out for the New Orleans Saints. And that's basically death for this team. I mean, where are you going to go offensively? How many plays can you run for Taysom Hill? You don't have Raheed Shaheed anymore. And now if Olave's out and Kamara are out, and Tyler Shook at quarterback, who I don't think has been awful, what do you do offensively? And so maybe under the team total is absolutely the right play with these injuries. The other thing that my partner Mike Pritchard brought up, who really is able to kind of hone in on that player perspective as a former NFL player, and he has some sources within the Dolphins organization who he felt after that, it was maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, there was that blow up on the sidelines where a guy came in and a running backs coach got all up in his stuff about, hey, what are you doing? And it was embarrassing, right? And it was on, and that's when we were like, oh my gosh, this organization is in such disarray. Mike McDaniel's going to be fired. Coaches are yelling at players and it's a mess. And I think they recognized that, and they reevaluated and they took over these players and their relationship and their engagement with them, and kind of put my job is on the line. I'm about to get fired next week behind them. And it's really shown a change in culture here, I think, with this Dolphins team. We've seen them now win a few games in a row, and things have absolutely changed for this team. Should they win this game? Yeah, because again, I don't think the Saints just have much of a puncher's chance without some of their star players in this game. I mean, they're limited offensively already. And now you take Olave and Kamara out of this game. I think it's tough sledding here for New Orleans. I would typically be on the dog because Miami's not a favorite I can trust, but it's a stay away, and I would probably play the Dolphins if I had to pick a side.
How about the Jaguars and the Titans? The Jags, another one of those teams that it's like, yeah, people are going to be invested in Survivor probably because it feels like the right side at Tennessee. That said, man, doesn't this feel like exactly a Trevor Lawrence spot where things just don't go the way they're supposed to go and Tennessee comes up with its second win?
I sure hope so. I bet the Titans. Well, Lawrence tried to do it last week at Arizona. He turned the ball over, and I know you're not a Trevor Lawrence fan. I like the guy. I kind of would like to see him do well, but he just has never really lived up to the billing that we all thought was going to occur when he came out of Clemson. He appears to have such talent and, such size. And I thought Liam Cohen was really going to be able to do great things with him. And I think he has improved him. But he's still absolutely susceptible to mistakes, and a lot of them. And I think he'll make some more here. This is the second week in a row that, of all people, the Jacksonville Jaguars have been road favorites. And I know they've won some good games this year. And it was a good win for them last week. Arizona really kind of blew that. They should have won that game a few different times. But now to ask them to be an even bigger road favorite in division for a second straight week in a row, no, I think this is a great spot for the Titans. Ever since their bye week, the Titans have covered the two games since their bye week. They covered against the Texans, and they covered last week against Seattle. That one against the Texans, of course, a division game. So you've got a division home dog here, desperate for anything positive, let alone an outright win. And you're getting almost the entire full touchdown of 7 points. And we've seen money come in on the Titans. It was 6.5. Now it's down to 6. And I would say 6 or better. I'm a Titans fan on Sunday.
In fairness, Cam Ward has played better in recent weeks. I'm not going to say he's turned things around entirely, but this team does not look as inept as it has.
They've gotten a little healthier. Jeffrey Simmons he's not Myles Garrett. Not many people are in the history of the game, but he is a guy that can wreck an offensive game plan. He's very, very good, and he's now back in the lineup. And like I say, since their bye week, they've covered a couple games in a row, and a lot of that has to do with Cam Ward getting better. So, they're starting to find some pieces that, and maybe Mike McCoy is able to, sniff out some areas where this team has some strengths and lean on those areas, because I agree with you. They've certainly been more competitive the last few weeks.
Bills and Steelers, pretty interesting. We haven't touched this game of yet. 7-4 against 6-5. Two teams trying to hang on to playoff spots in a competitive, relatively deep AFC. Buffalo's a 3.5 point favorite, and this one, of course, on the road. Josh Allen, expect him, to have TJ Watt draped all over him. It's not a great matchup, or pardon me, is a great matchup for James Cook. Bottom 5 against the run is Pittsburgh. Aaron Rodgers dealing with the injury to his non-throwing hand. Does look like he's going to play. Where would you go?
Well, I like Pittsburgh here. And I think there's even spots where you can get 3.5. And if you wait, you might get 3.5 on Sunday morning as well, because it looks like the line is headed that direction. There's 3s with juice on there, and maybe a rare 3.5 out in the market right now. But it's been really topsy-turvy for the Buffalo Bills. They look like Super Bowl champs one week, and they look awful the next. And I think this team is so reliant on Josh Allen that it's not healthy. Now you've also got a couple of offensive linemen, including Deion Dawkins, that are out for this game. I think the Steelers win this one, Adam.
Favorite plays for Sunday and football plays for tomorrow. College football when we come on back here on SportsGrid.
Let's play our game of buy or sell. Buy or sell. Thursday night football should end after week 10, George. You're going to buy or sell this?
It's too short a week. It's not healthy for the players. You'll never be able to convince me otherwise here. The NFL will tell you, stats tell us no, it's not more injuries. And that's all BS. All right. Should it end after week 10? In a perfect world, there probably should be no Thursday night games. Should it end after week 10? Sure, I'll buy this. But it's not going to. There's too much money here. It's never going to end, all right? They're going to have it forever. You're lucky there's not a Friday, Saturday schedule as well, and there's some laws involved there as to why there's not. The NFL is going to have a schedule or for any day they can get here. It's all about money here. And if the players don't want it, by the way, you're going to have to realize, you're going to lose a significant chunk of revenue out of your salary as well here.
Right.
So I'll buy this, but it doesn't matter. It's not going away.
I mean, George just basically said everything that I was going to say, so... What is the reality? The games, so of course I'll buy it. The games are not good. Generally, the home team has a big advantage. If not, the teams are not prepared to play on Thursday night. Yes, there have been some upsets and some underdogs winning. We saw it Thursday night. But the quality of play on Thursday is lower than what it is on the weekends. And there's no end in sight to it because of what George said, the money. That's just all that matters. If Amazon Prime doesn't take it, Netflix will take it. If they don't take it, Apple will take it. If they don't take it, somebody else will take it. I don't know. Hulu, I don't know. You make it up. Someone will. So it is not going away. And, generally speaking, I'm excited every week when the games begin, and then I forget, and then the games usually stink, and I'm like, oh, gosh, this game wasn't good anyway. So George is right. Not going away because of the money.
Fantasy Sports Today. Friday, starting at 3 p.m. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, Brady, a few more minutes here, and we can give out some NFL plays we really like, but obviously we will have tomorrow to discuss those as well when we are back on from 6 to 9 Eastern. And, my Eastern bias here, obviously. 3 o'clock Pacific, 3 to 6 for you, and clue people in on what we expect on Sunday. But what about college football Saturday? What's in pocket for you?
Let's see. I've got the Pittsburgh Panthers. I think we talked about that a couple different times in the show. They have their sights set on an ACC championship game, and we've talked about, the inconsistency of the Miami Hurricanes. A lot of pressure on this team. They see their name in lights every Tuesday night in that playoff picture, and I don't know. I mean, remember earlier, I think it was against SMU. It was like the first road game they played of this season, and they just got trounced. So outside of Coral Gables, they have not been the same team. And I know Carson Beck has been improving the last few weeks, but I think Pitt catching a full 7, and we've seen it come down to 6.5. I like Pitt here plus the points. I played South Carolina, and I laid 2.5, which I think you could still find in plenty of places out there. I also saw some stores that had 3.5. This is the first time in a long time that I think South Carolina has been a favorite over their in-state rival, the Clemson Tigers. And we know Clemson, it just has not been their year. South Carolina has been a competitive team for most of the season. So I think laying less than a field goal, even if you have to lay the 3, I don't mind that with the Gamecocks here. And then Kansas State, I laid 17 against Colorado. We know this Colorado team is not very good, much worse than they were last year when they had the Heisman Trophy winner in Travis Hunter, and they also had Shedeur Sanders, a far different version for Deion Sanders this year. They've been competitive at times in Boulder, but not the case on the road. And K-State, we talked about this one last week too. This is probably one of the best teams that nobody pays attention to in the country because I think they have 5 losses, but they are good. And you look at some of these losses they have, some of these wins, they're a solid team. They took Utah to the mat a few weeks ago, if you remember that game, right? Went up to Salt Lake City and was back and forth with Utah all night long. This team is solid. And so I think they might just crush the Buffaloes on Saturday.
How about for Sunday? We talk about the difference between contest cards and games that you would actually invest in personally in pocket. What are some of the favorite plays that you have with the numbers that exist now?
I like the Titans. We talked about that game, getting the 6 or 6.5. I like the Steelers. I think you can find a 3.5 if you can't wait. I think you might get one that pops up there. Certainly, I don't mind the 3, but boy, is 3.5 really nice when you've got an underdog on the other side of a field goal there. And then it's not a great number to take with a dog, 2.5, but I think it's odd that most of the bets, all of the activity is backing the Atlanta Falcons, yet the line's not moving to 3. That tells me something. I'll back the home dog, hold my nose, take the Jets here. The Falcons don't really deserve to be a road favorite over many teams in the NFL. I think the Jets possibly walk away with their 3rd win of the season here on Sunday.
Brady, you were right. You were, what's the word I'm looking for, hypothesizing this earlier. And one of the stories apparently on one of the 2 no picks was that somebody in Circus Survivor only had underdogs available and just didn't bother putting in a play. How do you sleep at night? How do you sleep?
That's worse than sleeping in and missing your picks.
100%. That is absolutely awful.
Think where they'd be right now. They'd be one of 49 people left in this pool. I mean, you talk about kicking yourself. And what's the inherent value of that ticket now? Almost $400,000. So, yeah, that is a bad
You don't
miss
just get
right there.
a pick in. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Right.
No harm, no foul. The only way you definitely lose is not even trying, by not even submitting a pick. That is brutal.
Adam, my partners and I, Frank B. and Anthony Curtis, a couple of the sharpest bettors on planet Earth, we play in the college football contest in the Westgate Superbook. And we're out of it. There's no mini contest. There's no quarterlies. We're done. Did we not turn in a card ever? No. You always compete. And I don't care if we're going to win any money or not. I want to root for those 7 games. Why not go 7-0? That'd be fun. You always got to participate.
No, that's tough. All right. Well, thanks to our guests. We had David Bierman on. We had Rich Sermonello on. Thanks to Steven, to Vinny, everybody behind the scenes. We appreciate you. Brady and I back together again in our usual Saturday night time slot, 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific, right here on Sports Grid for 3 hours. Talking a lot of college football and NFL as well. Brady, again, happy holiday to you and yours. We'll talk again tomorrow, my friend.
Can't wait.
See you, gang.